Karen mocked my wife's cane. She didn't know my wife trains federal agents. People think war wounds always look like scars or missing limbs. They don't always. Sometimes, they look like a woman standing proud with a cane in one hand and an entire life rebuilt in the other, only to be laughed at by someone too petty to understand courage. Let me tell you what happened when Karen mocked my wife and learned the hard way that strength doesn't always wear a uniform, but sometimes it trains the ones who do. We moved into Pine Brook Estates 6 months ago. Clean sidewalks, stiff lawns, an air of passive-aggressive calm. My wife, Jasmine, is an Army veteran 15 years in, 2 tours, shrapnel in the hip, and now a civilian instructor for federal tactical teams. She trains the folks who guard senators, federal judges, and the agents who run quiet ops in loud cities. Her injury flared up in cold weather. That's what the cane was for: black carbon fiber, military issue, with the unit's insignia engraved near the handle. It wasn't for show. Enter Karen. Karen DeLuca, neighborhood standard bearer, fake HOA president, and self-appointed guardian of aesthetics. She wore pastel cardigans like armor and carried a clipboard like a weapon. The first time she saw Jasmine walking to our mailbox, she made a face like someone had tracked mud across her carpet. "I'm surprised you let her walk around with that thing so openly," she said to me a few days later, while trimming her roses. With what thing she pointed at the cane. "It's a bit dramatic. Don't you think people get the wrong idea?" "I don't care what people get," I said, jaw clenched. "Well, we try to keep the tone of the community upbeat. Healthy, inspiring." "She's a war hero," I said. "That cane is earned." Karen just smiled like I'd confirmed her point. "Exactly. She used to be strong. Maybe it's time to move on." I should have walked away. I didn't. But Jasmine, she did. She brushed it off like dust on her shoulder. "Let people show you who they are," she said. "Then you decide if they deserve your energy." Still, I couldn't forget it, especially not after what Karen did next. One afternoon, I came back from a grocery run and found Jasmine sitting alone at the curb. Her cane was gone. She looked pale, rattled. I knelt down beside her. She took it. She whispered who she said it was a weapon, that it intimidated neighbors. Then she laughed and said I could hop home. My hands were shaking when I knocked on Karen's door. She opened it smug, holding the cane like it was a dead branch. "You looking for this? You stole my wife's medical equipment. It's a stick. She's young, she doesn't need it. She just wants attention." I stepped forward. "You're lucky I'm not filing charges." She smirked. "Go ahead, Ryan. The HOA won't support nonsense like that. The HOA doesn't exist. It exists in spirit, and so does accountability." Jasmine filed the report herself. But what Karen didn't know was that Jasmine had friends in D2CC, in federal buildings, in offices where policies get reviewed and public names get dragged. That night, Jasmine posted her story calm, composed, and devastating. Not a rant, just a truth bomb. What the cane meant, what it cost her to use it, and what it felt like to be mocked for surviving. It went viral. Shared by veterans groups, federal agencies, disability rights advocates. Within 48 hours, our local news station picked it up. By the end of the week, ABC Nightline called. Karen was suddenly famous for all the wrong reasons. It turns out Karen had a pattern. We started hearing from neighbors. She'd warned a single mom that her child's wheelchair ramp was too visible, left notes about non-standard walking aids, pressured an elderly couple to stop using their porch rail. She had a thing about normal, and Jasmine had just exposed it. The city took notice. The County Civil Compliance Board launched a review. Since Karen had distributed materials labeled as HOA violations using Pine Brook branding, it constituted misrepresentation of authority. She was fined $15,000 for impersonating a community official, another $5,000 in civil penalties for medical harassment. But the public backlash, that was priceless. She couldn't leave her house without cameras waiting, protest signs, veterans saluting outside her fence in silence. She tried to play victim. No one bought it. Karen moved out within the month. Jasmine. She's still training federal agents only now. She's also giving guest lectures on ableism and community accountability. And the cane. We mounted it above our front door with a plaque that reads, "They thought it made her weak." It reminded the world she stood up again. So let me ask you this. When does normal become dangerous, and who gets to decide which strength counts and which one gets laughed at? Drop your thoughts. Let's talk about power, pride, and the people who carry both quietly.